Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Here we are on Thursday night. We're doing our live hangout. We'll go live for the next maybe 30 minutes. We got a football game on tonight. Miami Dolphins hosting the Baltimore Ravens. If you are new to the Fellowship, you should definitely subscribe. Check us out on TikTok. Check out thefantasyfellowship.com. And then how I do these Thursday night shows, I uploaded a bunch of injury news and just blurbs here. I look up on NBCSportsEdge.com and I just type these in there. And then from there, I'm going to read all these and then we'll start opening up questions. So fire up your questions below. I'll get to them in a second. But for tonight's game, Latavius Murray's out. Nick Boyle is going to be out. And nothing really else for fantasy that's relevant. Sammy Watkins is going to be activated, so we'll see what happens there. I'm excited to see what Rashad Bateman looks like in prime time, and we have a couple other interesting wrinkles for tonight's game. Jacoby Brissette is starting for the Miami Dolphins. So we'll see what happens. But as we get through some of these news blurbs here, Deebo Samuel is absent from the 49ers Week 10 injury report. He's been battling a calf injury the last couple of weeks, so it's good to see him finally off that injury report, and he's going to be good to go. He's still a top 12 wideout receiver in PPR leagues here. Hunter Renfrow upgraded to a full practice there. Elijah Mitchell, some more 49ers news. They play on Monday Night Football against the Rams, but he's a limited participant. I think he's going to be just fine going into Monday night. Big news of the day, Rams agreed to terms with Odell Beckham Jr. This one's going to be interesting for fantasy. I think the main takeaways for me, Van Jefferson, probably not on our radars as a wide receiver 3 flex anymore. A guy that you probably don't need to carry on your bench. He's going to compete with Odell Beckham for snaps. And this is kind of an interesting move to me because Deshaun Jackson, he asked for release from the Rams because he wasn't getting enough snaps. So I'm just curious, does Odell Beckham overtake Van Jefferson? Van Jefferson had been getting, upwards of 90+% of the snaps. So something to watch there. But for now, I think the value of Cooper Kupp remains the same. Robert Woods probably takes a little bit of a ding, and Odell Beckham's going to be probably a wide receiver 3 flex going forward. Roethlisberger missing his second straight day of practice. This one's kind of interesting. I don't expect him to miss the game, but 2 days of no practice, I don't love it. But a veteran like Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's going to be fine. Friday, if he gets a limited in Friday, he should be good to go. Chase Claypool, though, probably should be, if you're holding on to Chase Claypool and you're hoping to get him into the lineup this week, I would expect him to not play. Make sure you have a backup in there. If Claypool's out, maybe James Washington is a nice plug and play there. A guy, when Claypool didn't play earlier this year, I think against Green Bay, Washington looked pretty good. So just keep your eyes on Chase Claypool. I'm assuming he's not going to play. News in Tampa Bay is that Antonio Brown not practicing. He did shed the walking boot though, so that's good news here. It looks like he could maybe return for Week 11, but again, Week 10, I'm not anticipating Antonio Brown being ready. And then we'll get to the news in a little bit. But Chris Godwin, we have to worry about Chris Godwin. Alvin Kamara. This one's I've kind of been on this one all week here. He hurt himself last Sunday. Early third quarter, he left the game briefly, went to the medical tent. He did come back and finish the game, but he's got a little mild knee sprain here. They're just being cautious with him. I'm not saying he's not going to play this week, but he could be limited in his touches. And since they signed Mark Ingram here, they don't need to feed Alvin Kamara that volume anymore that he was getting, those 18 to 20 carries per game. So if Kamara plays, I'm still going to play him, but just know that, hey, he's missing practice. Mark Ingram should be owned in pretty much 10 and 12-man leagues, even 8-man leagues. If Ingram gets the start, he's going to be a good play against the Tennessee defense there. PJ Walker is going to remain the Panthers starter. Cam Newton was signed today. I think Cam Newton's probably going to be the starter going forward here. So if you do play in Superflex leagues, that's the majority of leagues that I play in, Cam Newton should be scooped and snagged anywhere that you can get him right now. The Broncos, this one's interesting because I know a lot of people, Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, they both looked really good last week. Melvin's been scoring touchdowns, and Javonte kind of had a mini breakout last week. But the Broncos going up against Philadelphia, 3 starting offensive linemen not going to be playing. And let me just look real quick on the fantasyfellowship.com. Fantasy points allowed to the running backs. The Philadelphia Eagles have been, pretty generous, I guess, to the running backs in PPR formats, but this is going to make me just ding Melvin Gordon and Javonte just a little bit. So if you guys have questions on those two guys, let me know in the comments. We'll get to it in a second. Here's Rob Gronkowski news. Now he's not going to play this week. He's on a this team's, they got January, February aspirations. They're not going to rush Gronk back here. So plan to be without him. Hold him in your IR spot. And then Chris Godwin. It's really strange seeing Chris Godwin not practicing after a long bye week with the foot injury here. He's kind of battled, I think it's foot and knee injury he's battled pretty much all season. So as of right now, no practice Wednesday or Thursday. This is leaning towards doubtful, for Sunday here. So if you have Godwin, make sure you have a hedge. Tyler Johnson's been a guy that I picked up in a few leagues. Because if you're saying no Godwin, no Antonio Brown, no Gronk, that leaves Mike Evans and Tyler Johnson probably as the best targets. Jamal Williams not practicing quite yet here. You also have Clyde Edwards-Helaire looking good in practice here. So if small chance that someone dropped him, but he should be picked up by now. Probably not going to play this week, but I think week 11, I think they have a bye week 12 too here. So maybe they get him eased in week 11 and go from there. Zach Moss was a participant in practice. He was wearing a non-contact jersey. I'm not sure if he's going to play, but he's still in the concussion protocol. I'm leaning towards him. Since they have him out there, it's looking like he's part of the game plan. So that's good news for him. And then Devin Singletary as well. They should be going up against the Jets. They allowed the most running back points in PPR league. So Moss and Singletary are in play. More Buffalo news. Dawson Knox might be back. He was upgraded to full practice on Thursday here. So he was limited yesterday, gets a full practice in today. I am planning to have Dawson Knox in some of my lineups this week. Some Patriots running backs news. Ramondre Stevenson still sidelined here with the concussion, as well as Damian Harris. So 2 straight days, no practice for these guys. I think Brandon Bolden is a guy that's widely available in most leagues. And if you play in PPR, we know Brandon Bolden is kind of the PPR back there. So he's going to get the touches. J.J. Taylor would kind of be the number 2 there. So I think if you're looking for a running back that you could plug in as a RB2 or a flex in PPR leagues, Brandon Bolden should be a name that you have on your speed dial there. And then DeAndre Hopkins, sidelined yet again, and Kyler Murray sidelined again. So I don't know what's going to go on with the Cardinals here. We'll have to wait for tomorrow, but so far it's looking not great. Good evening to Aiden. How you doing, man? Logan Thomas and well, first of all, good evening to Harris. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Thursday night. I haven't seen Logan Thomas activated yet, which is kind of concerning. I think I retweeted out something today, and I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think he's going to play this week. It sounds like, well, here's the blurb that I have on him. Logan Thomas was sore coming out of Monday's practice, and his status for Week 10 against the Bucs won't be determined until Friday. So who knows if we'll see him tomorrow. But at the moment right now, I'm thinking Ricky Seals-Jones gets maybe one more week of action here. He returned to practice, but again, he's sore. We'll see. Tomorrow's a big day here, so we'll have to wait and see what's going on. What's going on, Justin, my man? Thoughts on Waddle and Bateman tonight? I love him. Well, Waddle is the easy play. I think in the few games that he's had with Jacoby Brissett, that's been the main target, for him. And with no Devontae Parker, no Will Fuller, it's going to be a heavy Waddle Gesicki night. And if you look at the Ravens defense, like their pass defense, the Ravens, they're a little bit tighter against wide receivers, but they allow the second most tight end points. And they kind of, Waddle's, a slot player. He's kind of used in some way, in the short area, middle of the field stuff. So he's kind of operating in the tight end zones here. So I really like Waddle and Bateman, or Gesicki. As far as Bateman goes, this is our first chance to see Bateman with a healthy Sammy Watkins. So I'm curious how the snap counts go. I still really like Bateman. He's more of a wide receiver 3 flex, and the Miami Dolphins pass defense, giving up the 4th most PPR points here. So a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. It should be a good spot for Bateman and Marquis Brown tonight. What is the status on Julio and J-Rob? It's looking good for James Robinson. He has been at practice this week. Let me just look up his report real quick. I think I'm planning to have James Robinson back this week. It's a tougher matchup against the Colts. But, man, if you can get James Robinson back, I think the Jaguars are going to be feeling pretty good. So it says he returned. So he was sidelined yesterday, returned to practice today. He's expected to return. So I think everything's good to go here. Hopefully he can log a full practice tomorrow, at least a limited. And then, for Julio Jones real quick, I think – with Julio, I think the no news is good news rule kind of applies to Julio. Let me see. Dang it. So there is some news. He was added to the injury report as a limited participant on Thursday. So Jones appeared to tweak his hamstring in a rep captured by Teron Davenport, one of the beat reporters there, and sat out the remainder of open practice. This is a serious threat to him playing on Sunday against the Saints. So caution with Julio Jones. If you're planning on having Julio, I would be a little bit nervous. I want him to be healthy. Again, that hamstring's been bothering him all season. So we'll have to see what his I think Friday will be a big day. I'm assuming he's going to be limited. If he does not practice Friday, that's not a good thing. So we'll see. I'm a little bit nervous. Apparently, there's a video here. I have to find. I'm just opening up the link on Twitter here. Let me see what we got from Julio. So I'm just watching this video real quick. They're in the practicing the gym today. And he's doing a one-on-one rep here. He's going, he kind of stumbled out of his break on this. So I'm not sure. I would plan for no Julio this week at the moment. Will Jeff Wilson touch the ball this week? That's hard to say. I thought he was going to touch the ball last week, and apparently he wasn't even on the field. So maybe this week, again, a full week of practice for Jeff Wilson, maybe a little bit of touches. I think Elijah Mitchell's pretty much proven that, hey, he's the guy. He's going to be the main toucher going forward. But if you can hold on to Jeff Wilson, I think it's worth holding on to. We know Elijah Mitchell's been in and out of practice the last few weeks. So I'm going to say he'll touch the ball, but maybe not too much. Sell high on Debo. He's fully healthy now. It depends on what you can get for him. I think if you can lock in a top 5 receiver, go ahead and talk to some of those guys. If you're looking to swing him for a top 5 running back, it's always, it's selling high on a guy like Debo, who has been dinged up, throughout his career. And now that you factor in a healthy George Kittle, you have to factor in Brandon Ayuk having his breakout game last week. I think there's some reasons there to sell high on Debo. So if you can find a suitor for Debo, and you're locking in, whether it's a top 5, top 10 running back or a top 5, top 10 receiver, I think I'm okay with that. Again, Kittle and Ayuk both playing well. I'm a little bit hesitant on Debo. I still feel like he's like a top 10, top 12 wide receiver. He's got a nice safe floor. He's a big part of the offense. But if you can cash in on Debo, I think this might be a good time to do it. Over under 5.5 catches. Is that for Waddle? I'm going over on the catches for Waddle. Bateman, I'll probably go at Bateman's probably a 4 catch guy. And Waddle can be a flex tonight, right? Waddle should be a flex. So there's interesting theory. If you're playing guys on Thursday Night Football, you don't want to flex those guys. You want to get them up in your wide receiver or your running back slot, depending on what their position is. Because if someone, say you have DJ Moore tomorrow and needs to come down with COVID, and you had Waddle locked in at flex, sometimes things get confusing. So I recommend putting your Thursday Night Football players in the running back or the wide receiver position. So I like Waddle. PPR leagues, he's a double-digit guy. DJ Moore or D'Ernest? Moore been iffy recently, and the QB unknown. I'm going D'Ernest Johnson in this one. So it sounds like there's a small chance that Nick Chubb could be cleared of the COVID. I don't know. I'm going to lean towards D'Ernest getting the start in this one. Let me look at the Patriots real quick. I want to see what they allow to running backs. So they rank 14th against the run here. They've only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdowns, but teams get a lot of points on them. So I like D'Ernest more than DJ Moore. AJ Brown or Mike Williams? Right at my heartstrings. I'm a believer in the Mike Williams here. Let me just look at the rankings real quick here. They play the Vikings, so it's a really good spot for Mike Williams. They allow roughly 40 fantasy points per game. So between Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, the chances of them hitting the 40 between the two, probably pretty good. AJ Brown, though, playing against the Saints. The Saints surprisingly allow the 3rd most PPR points to the wide receiver position. So just based on, if I had to choose one guy here, I'm going with AJ Brown. He's the more alpha. He's the more guy. He's the clear number 1 target, and especially with the Julio Jones hamstring thing right now, I'm probably going to lean with AJ Brown. And yeah, full PPR. I'll go with AJ Brown. He's due. Do I start Freeman or wait on someone else? So this is a Harris question, meaning more standard league. Depends on who that someone else is. I think Freeman's probably in store for a good game tonight. The Miami Dolphins allow, where are they in the running back rankings? As far as running backs go, the Miami Dolphins allow about 24 fantasy points per game here. They've allowed 7 rushing touchdowns and 2 receiving touchdowns. So I feel pretty good about Devontae's spot here. If you're playing in a standard touchdown league, I guess that really depends on if he gets a touchdown or not. But I feel good for him getting a handful of touches, 60, 70 yards. And Jacoby Brissett's playing tonight, so it could be a big Ravens night. Swift or Aaron Jones in PPR. So This is an Aaron Jones game. Seattle Seahawks defense, they're giving up the third most PPR points to the running backs. I like DeAndre Swift quite a bit, but against the Steelers, there's a chance for him to get some garbage points, garbage touchdown in the end, but I'm going to roll with Aaron Jones. He's in the better offense. It's at home for the Packers. I'll go with AJ. 23.5 reception yards on Gaskin over/under. Let me look real quick. So the Baltimore Ravens against the running back, they're giving up, so far on the season, the Ravens have given up 42 catches, 468 yards, and a touchdown. That's one of the worst against the running back here. So I'll say over. Jacoby Brissette really dinks and dunks, so I'll go over on the Gaskin yards. Yeah, I need J-Rob as my running back too. CMC or CPAT, PPR, then AB Waddle or Mike Williams. I don't think Antonio Brown's going to play. So if you need a PPR receiver, so I like Waddle. I don't know if I see the ceiling for Waddle though. So for me, I'm probably going to go a little more boom for the Mike Williams here. He's got a good matchup against the Vikings. So I want to say if you want to go safe, go Waddle. He'll get you 5 or 6 catches. I think I just saw a graphic where he ranked 6th in the NFL in pass receptions. So I like Waddle as a safe play. If you're feeling the risk, go with Mike Williams. And then CMC or, oh my God, Cordero Patterson. I want to try to get him in my lineups if you can. But you got to go CMC. That's a sure thing here. I know it's PJ Walker, but they had games with PJ Walker in the past. He's going to be the centerpiece of the offense. So if you're nervous about CMC, I will go with Cordero Patterson. He's been on fire lately. But for me, I'm going to go CMC, and I'll probably shoot for the Mike Williams ceiling here, but I get it. I like Waddle as well. So it's a risk reward factor for me. Is Boyd officially not in the Bengals offense? Probably. I think Boyd needs, well, for one, I don't think we're ever going to feel comfortable starting Tyler Boyd unless there's an injury to the Bengals or not the Bengals, but the Higgins or Jamar Chase. So for me, Boyd is barely rosterable. Probably not rosterable in 10-man leagues, but 12-man leagues is probably where you can dump him. And yeah, 15 more subs. Let's get us up to that. We're almost up to 400, I believe. Josh Jacobs or Mike Williams, non-PPR. So non-PPR, I'm leaning towards Josh Jacobs being the better call here. The Kansas City Chiefs, they rank 15th against the running back here. Mike Williams does have a good game here, but again, Mike Williams feels more boom bust. I feel pretty good about Jacobs getting a touchdown this week. So non-PPR, give me the Josh Jacobs yards. That feels a little bit safer there. So I'll go with Boss Jacobs. This one's Cordero Patterson all day in a PPR league. I like Scary Terry, but Tampa Bay's I think people we picked on Tampa Bay's defense early in the season, but coming off a bye, I expect them to be kind of dialed in, and I trust Cordero Patterson more than Terry at the moment. Hollywood or DJ Moore? We're going to go with Marquis Brown. This one's pretty easy for me. Lamar's just throwing the ball so well right now, and again, the Dolphins giving up the 4th most PPR points to the wide receiver position. DJ Moore going up against who do they play? Why can't I think right now? Carolina plays the Cardinals. Arizona's a little bit stingier against the wide receiver, so I'll go Hollywood here. Dearness Johnson or Josh Jacobs. So it's weird because it depends on what platform or website you look at. I think I've seen Dearness Johnson as high as RB6 on the week here. I do like Josh Jacobs. Dearness Johnson has a tougher matchup going up against the Patriots. So I think I'm going to lean with Josh Jacobs. He seems a little bit easier to trust here, and I like the matchup. It's a fun primetime game too. Do I need to be concerned about Matthew Stafford? My radar hasn't gone too concerned yet. Let me just look and see if there was any blurb or report today on Stafford. So I haven't seen anything yet. I'm expecting him to play. If there was any inkling of doubt, we probably would have heard that already. So I'm leaning towards him playing. Let me just look up one more thing real quick. I just want to make sure. I'm going to go to the practice reports real quick and see if I can find anything on Matthew Stafford. Stafford's going to ball, man, with Odell Beckham on the team. This is going to be pretty nuts. I'm excited for the Rams offense. But let me see. Matthew Stafford wasn't on the injury report today, so I think we're going to be okay. Freeman, they've had a bye in there, so he scored 3 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. But Freeman's been pretty solid the last few weeks. He's been the clear lead back with Latavius Murray gone. Le'Veon Bell is his backup, so I like Devonta tonight. I would lean towards no Miles Sanders. I'd be shocked if he played. Let me look at the practice reports real quick for the Eagles. No other running back is on the injury reports. Even if Sanders plays, I'm not trying to get Sanders in my lineup, especially with the way Jordan Howard's been playing right now. So I'm going to lean towards not using Sanders. It makes sense to me for them to rest him and get him through some practices before they trust him out there. Freeman or Carson, just because I can't guarantee that Chris Carson's going to play, I'm going to go with Freeman. Yeah, Julio, man. So the Julio window, if he can find a way to get this hamstring loose and not so damn tight, Julio, especially just because the lack of Derrick Henry, I could see A.J. Brown and Julio Jones being a nightmare for defenses down the stretch. I like the Chiefs -2.5. What about you? So Chiefs by about a field goal. I don't know, man. The Raiders have been playing good ball. They just dropped one to the Giants, so I suppose the Chiefs by a field goal does make sense. I'll take the Chiefs -2.5. Josh Jacobs or Leonard Fournette. So it's technically a better matchup for Josh Jacobs. And if this is a standard league question, I can't guarantee Leonard Fournette's going to get the touches for a touchdown. Washington football team, I know their defense has been bad, but their front seven and their rushing defense is still pretty good. So I think Josh Jacobs is probably the guy. Bob Woods, Judy, Gaskin, Landry, Damian Harris, Bateman, Muth. I'm going with big booty Jerry Jeudy here. This one, I might be biased, but I love Jerry Jeudy this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. I would expect Darius Slay to be on Cortland Sutton. So Jerry Judy's going to be running free in the middle of the field. And just based off last week's usage, Jerry Jeudy is the passing the pass offense runs through him. He's going to be the lead target, I think, going forward the rest of the way. And if it's PPR, give me Jerry Jeudy. What's going on, Lucius? What do you think about Bateman this evening? I saw T.Y. Hilton and Patrick on my wire. I could pivot off Bateman. T.Y. Hilton feels hard to trust. I know it's a good matchup there. We'll see if he can come back from the concussion. I think at the moment right now, the way Michael Pittman Jr. has been playing, Jonathan Taylor, even Zach Pascal's been pretty nice. So, I'd be nervous about T.Y. Hilton in my lineups. And Tim Patrick, I like Patrick. He's probably a guy that I would try to add if I can. But I think for me, Bateman's been playing really good. I think just the primetime game for Bateman is going to be a good spot. So I'm going to say stick with Bateman. You're attached to Lamar. It's the Dolphins. They've been allowing a crazy ton of points. So I get the worry because Watkins is back. But I think now that they've seen what Bateman can do, and they do run a lot of 3 wide receiver stuff. So I think we're going to be just fine with Bateman. If anything, maybe Marquis Brown takes a little bit of a backseat. Like, who knows? So I think I'm going to roll with Bateman. It's a plus matchup. It gets you a little bit more fun. So, yeah, Stafford, good to go. Just need to get Julio healthy and be producing. I love the Titans. Why not? The Titans have a good schedule the rest of the way. Renfro or Scary Terry in PPR league. So, well, first of all, this just sends kind of like a ripple down my spine saying, oh, man, are we nervous about Terry McLaurin? I think against Tampa Bay, we expect Tampa Bay to score points. I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Terry. So this, again, for Aiden, this is a boom-bust question. Do you want to just lock in 8 to 10 points minimum with Hunter Renfro, or do you want to shoot for the ceiling with Terry McLaurin? I'm probably going to shoot for Terry, and I agree. Julio Jones is a buy low. People we're frustrated with the hamstring, but again, if he can just kind of string a couple good, days of practices and get a good game or two, I think Julio could be a lot of fun down the stretch. Browns, I like winning if Chubb plays. Even if Chubb doesn't play, man, like we just saw how they dominated the Bengals last week. I think the way the defense is playing, the way Baker's taking care of the ball, Browns could be in a good spot to win on the road. Singletary, Johnson, Ingram, or Freeman, non-PPR. Okay, so for non-PPR, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pass on Devonta Freeman because you have Dearness Johnson and Mark Ingram there. If Alvin Kamara does not play, I'm getting Mark Ingram in my lineup. Say AK-41 plays and Nick Chubb is still out, I'll go with Dearness Johnson. So I think this is a good way to hedge it. And then if Zach Moss is out, Singletary's in play. So I think we have to revisit this. The way it looks right now, Moss is probably going to play, which makes me rank Singletary towards the bottom. But I'm looking at the opportunity for Ingram, if no Kamara, and Dearness Johnson. So I think I'll pass on Freeman tonight. Let's wait for news on Ingram, Johnson, and Singletary. I think those 3 backs could be pretty good options for you. No Kyler. It could be a fun. PJ Walker is hard to defend, with his legs. We could see a fun game there. PJ Walker did play pretty good last year against the Lions for a spot start. So he's a guy that kind of just needs to get into the flow and the rhythm. He kind of plays similar to Josh Johnson, like we just saw last Thursday night. So I'm interested there. Panthers could be sneaky. I'm running the Hawk Muth stack in a league. That could be a lot of fun. I really like Pat. Big Pat is a lot of fun. Schultz or Noah Fant? I'm going with Fant. So if you guys take anything away from tonight's video, first of all, check out the charts on thefantasyfellowship.com, the fantasy points allowed chart. But if you look at the tight end chart, the Eagles giving up the most fantasy points to the tight end position. They've allowed 8 touchdowns to the tight ends and a league high 67 total receptions. So teams just beat their linebackers. So I think Noah Fant back. That's probably the ceiling play. I'm going to go with Noah Fant here. I still like Dalton Schultz. It's a bit of a tougher matchup for him. The Falcons haven't been very fruitful against tight ends. I think it's more of a wide receiver day against Atlanta. So I'm going to say Noah Fant. What is Pat Valley after Eric Ebron coming back? You're going to use Waller. No question. Don't miss out on Waller. Against the Chiefs, man, like we got to go with Waller. Do I pick up Ayuk and drop Ingram or Robbie? Ooh, go pick up Ayuk. Drop Robbie Anderson. Get rid of Robbie. Go pick up Ayuk. That's a no-brainer. Go do that right now, please. Lockett or Brandon, non-PPR. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. They're both boom busts. You have to realize that. I do like Lockett on the road though. I'm gonna go with Tyler Lockett. I trust Russell more than I trust Jimmy. And we know that when Russ is in there, it's DK and Lockett as the main targets. For the 49ers, it's a little bit stiffer competition against the Rams, and you also have Debo and Kittle. So I think process of elimination, I'll go with Tyler Lockett. Green Bay's defense has been playing well of late, but I'm going to roll with Russ and Tyler Lockett. Derek Carr, the most underrated QB in the NFL. Look at his numbers, a record with all the drama. I agree, man. Derek Carr, and you know what's crazy is, so I'm a guy that has Derek Carr in a couple dynasty leagues. I've drafted Derek Carr in the past few years. He's been a top 15, top 16 quarterback for fantasy the last few years, and he's just been, stuck in the doom and gloom of John Gruden and some shitty Raiders teams. But Derek Carr can play really well, and he's a good person. Whenever he talks, he's a friendly person. So I love Derek Carr. I think he's one of the more underrated players as well. Would you do it if I have Carson as a backup? Would you do it if I have Carson as a backup? Do what? What are we doing here? If I have Carson, are you talking about some of these running backs here? I'm gonna wait for Ingram and Dearness Johnson in this case. And for Chris Carson, where's the Chris Carson question? Did I miss something? Freeman or Carson? Would you do if I have Carson as a backup? I can't remember what we're asking here. Schultz or Higbee? So the Rams going up against the 49ers. San Fran's been pretty stingy against the tight end. Schultz going up against the Falcons. I'll probably lean with Dalton Schultz in this one. Andre Drummond is insane. Yes, he is. I hate it. I'm playing against him in my most important league. So I love it, but I hate it at the same time. Mitchell, Gibson, Javonte, Julio, Ayuk start 1. I think you probably got to go with the safe floor is Mitchell. Mitchell's just been a beast lately, and it sounds like JaMychal Hasty's probably not going to play. I don't think I've seen him in the practice reports, and that's why Mitchell got the boost in the receptions last week. So I like Mitchell. I think I'm going to have a hard time ignoring the safe floor. If they get in the red zone, there's a good chance that he runs one in. So Mitchell is probably the safest play. If you want to pivot, I think the next player would probably be Ayuk. So let's go with Elijah Mitchell here. That would be my choice. So I got a couple more minutes for you guys. Fire up your final questions. I think for this weekend, I got a free weekend. So Saturday night we'll do a live stream here. So come with your questions. Let me know. And I like doing it on Saturday night because we get all the news from Friday covered, and then hopefully some more news blurbs on Saturday. So Saturday, come hang out. We'll go live. I'll set it for probably 6:30, 7 o'clock. So just check back in. I'll have it uploaded on Saturday for you guys. Score prediction for tonight. I'm gonna give the Ravens. Let's see. I'll give the Ravens. I don't know how difficult it really depends on how Jacoby Brissette plays. If Brissette doesn't turn the ball over, they can make it a tighter game here. So I think for the Dolphins offense, I'll give them 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I'll put them at 17, and I'm going to put the Ravens. I'm going to give the Ravens 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So 34-17, something like that. 30-17. It'll be a 2-score game at the end of the game, but I think it'll be tight for a little bit. Frank the Tank dropped off my Blazers last night. Yeah, whenever Frank gets those starter minutes, he's been a beast. Pick one to drop: Freeman, Kirk, or Brandon. Freeman, Kirk, or Brandon. It sounds like you have enough running backs there, and with Latavius Murray potentially coming back, I'm okay with dropping Freeman. Kirk has been a pretty good option, and Brandon Ayuk, I still don't want to let him go. Thoughts on Brissette? Brissett's fine for Superflex leagues. I'm not going to trust him in QB1 leagues. So if you're playing Superflex, he can be a number 2. Just be patient. He might turn the ball over a couple times, but with his legs, he could run in a touchdown too. Maybe 15 points for Superflex leagues. And just with Waddle and Gesicki, I think he's got to feed the offense through them, dump it off to Gaskin. So I like Brissette, but he's a fringe quarterback 2 for Superflex. Saturday night is good. Russ is good. Zondo says he had Tyrod and Fields, but both are on buys. I picked up Newton, but probably won't play. Brissette. Okay, so in your situation, yeah, you got to play Brissette. I'm fine with Brissette. He had a rough go last week here, but I think the Ravens have been pretty generous to fantasy players so far lately. So let's hope for a big Waddle night and hope for a Gesicki night. We'll see how it goes, but I think those are the safe plays. So no problem, guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the game. We'll see you guys Saturday night. If you guys have any more questions, just hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, wherever you got. Yeah. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game. We'll see you guys on Saturday evening. Peace.